Fire escape engineers inspect the summary video. We're here in Fort Lee. Is it on? Record? Okay. And this fire escape must be structured out, must be kept painted. We're examining the fire escape, which seems to be in good order. There's a few things that need to be addressed. One of them is going to be the rail existing non-conforming. So I have to ask the city official whether or not he's going to allow the pre-existing non-conforming to pass through here. If he wants a couple more lines, otherwise if he grandfathers it in, I just got to check for the integrity. I've got welded connections here that need to be load tested or x-rayed. Otherwise, if you create a bracket system and you just rebolt it, there is no load test. Some of these connections here are welded. As soon as you put a bolt, there is no load test. This bracket is not a common bracket, this one or that one, because they normally need to have a bracket from here down to the corner. So if you step back a little bit, I'll show you. So I would want the bracket to go from here down to that corner to pick up more of this corner. You can leave the original one and just put another one. Where this weld is, that needs to be x-rayed or load tested. As soon as you put a bolt, there is no load test. Where this one welds here, bolt, no load test. Bolt down here, no load test. And then you put the next one in, not welded, it needs to be bolted, so there's no load test. In welded joints and welded corners, to avoid the load test or the x-ray, just put in a gusset, bolted, no load test. My concern going down here is that these are welded. And what you really need here is just a simple little angle bracket, bolted. Then I don't need to x-ray or load test on both sides. You bolt this down here. My concern is that this is a very tight, very rare do you do a reverse bracket, because they did it wrong on both sides. So that side needs the extension, but this side, what it really needs is just, you got room here, just put an angle bracket, 2x2x4 going down, and as soon as you hit the wall down there, then there's no need. There's no need for any additional support. So I need a diagonal back down to the wall, bolted here and tied into the building. But, and again, any welded connection needs to be x-rayed or load tested, but if you bolt it, there's no load test. So a little simple 2x2 clip here with a bolt, 3/8 bolt, 3/8 bolt, she's going to be fine. 100% of all the treads are using quarter inch bolt. They're supposed to be 3/8. So what I want you to do is to keep these here, and if you just put a single bolt in the middle, that way you can keep the original bolts. But these are not industry standard size. They're too small. You can't use quarter inch. It's supposed to be 3/8. If you put in a full 3/8 in the middle of it, then you can keep the original ones here, and we'll be able to pass it. Needs a full paint job. You don't have to pass inspection as part of the code. This you could use additional lines, but again, if the city official wants to allow pre-existing non-conforming, then I'll just allow it. But any of these welds, if you can see, the water has gotten in here. They didn't seal any of the welds, so I just need a couple of bolts through here or a bracket to eliminate the need of the weld from an x-ray or a load test. You pop a bolt in there, there is no load test. Okay? Coming down, she's tying welded to the building. So she's got a standard. It looks like it was all built here, but any welded connection, you just put in a simple gusset, and a lot of times you can even put a 1-inch flat underneath, bolt, and you basically have eliminated the need to x-ray or load test that corner. So a lot of it is just standard welded reinforcement to eliminate load test. 100% of the grading needs to be painted, and there's a problem. This grading is going the wrong way. So the bearer bars are supposed to go from here that way. Otherwise, every 54 inches, you need to put a piece of angle underneath, because the bars are too long. They're running, the only strength here is these quarters going this way. It's not supposed to be there. But as soon as you put an angle iron underneath with a bolt and a bolt, every 54 inches, then this is legal. The way it is, it's only a matter of time that she'll bend. If I want to jump enough on this, I will bend this into a V. Okay? So this is fine here. If you come here and look at this one, it's less than 54 inches wide, so the bearer bars can carry. So this is much stronger than this one. This one I'm running on my 1/4-inch rod. See, there's too much flex. If you put 5-6 guys here, she'll bend it down. Let me go here. The release arm is working fine. We released it, we videotaped it. She drops 2 to 3 feet per second, so she's fine. So the box doesn't need to be rebalanced. You need to just seal it and paint it to make sure. But going down, what happened here, so again, we need the bars going across, and whenever they do this, whenever they weld grading the way they just did here, you can't weld grading to extend it this way. But as soon as I put a bar underneath here, 2x2 bar underneath here, over this welded mend right here, then there's no need for me to, I don't care about that weld anymore. So the fact that you have to divide this every 54 inches, I still want a bar underneath this one because it's all welded, and then all the welds are starting to show evidence of rust. So that needs to be done right there. These welded brackets, I need 2x2 bolts to avoid load testing and x-ray. Another critical mistake that was made on this one, very typical of somebody who's never done a cantilever, this bracket that came here originally interfered with this weight box. So what the guy did when they did this is they cut it, they modified it, and they cut it back here just so that the weight box didn't hit it anymore. But it's still not carrying the load correctly here. So what we need to do is sort of create a reinforcement on the back end of this, because she's got plenty of legs here, she's good. So we just need to sort of reinforce this over here so that only this part carrying the stair is reinforced. Because the chop that they did here in this Mickey Mouse thing here over here, it's not standard. So it just needs a little bit more reinforcement and she's gonna be fine. Again, the rails are not pre-existing non-conforming. If the city official will allow this can stay. You just need to reinforce any welded connections with a bolt. Okay, otherwise, as you can see, water's getting into these welds, and it's only a matter of time before one of these welds snap and somebody falls through. Every one of these treads has only got a quarter. The standard is always 3/8. So you can take these out, put in 3/8, drill them out, or to me, it's just a single bolt. You put a single bolt 3/8 in here, we're good. The fire escape treads need to be painted. I would silicone shut them. This construction is probably 15 to 20 years old. It's not that old. This fire escape is not that old. But again, they built the rails not the standard, you know? If you fall down as a child, you fall down, you can easily fall through to the side. So it needs more lines here. But if the city official wants to accept it as pre-existing non-conforming, then we can deal with it. This bracket for the pin is good. Through bolts into the building look good. Just need to verify with the pull test, or we need to verify inside, but a lot of times to avoid any damage on the inside, we can do a pull test just on the through bolt without having to create a load test. And if they refurbish, there's no load test. If they want to spot repair, then there's going to be a load test. But the fire escape's in good order. But again, some of the standards that they used here was not industry standard. But she's in good order. The fire escape needs a paint job. I would silicone shut all the connections. If you want to come down here. And I would, see, these are all 1/4 inch. You can't use 1/4 inch. These are supposed to be minimum 3/8. But again, you put a bolt in here, then these other two can stay, okay? The feet at the bottom, I would, caulk that up so that it doesn't accumulate sand, dirt, and rust, because these feet will rot. And so the fire escape is properly through bolted, as you can see. Come over here. And whenever you have welded connections, I need to x-ray or load test them. Or if you put a gusset here, put a bolt through and a bolt over here, on that welded connection, you put a bolt through, I don't have to verify it. See that welded joint in the corner there? It's welded. So I need to either x-ray or load test it, but as soon as I blow a bolt through it, there's no load test. And then where it ties into the tip over there, you put a bolt in it, there's no load test. So, any questions? Fire escape engineers, inspect the summary video, 866-649-0333.